Hello, my name is Louis Piazza. I'm here to tell you about a story, something that occurred in my life back in July of 1991. It was a Wednesday night. Had gone fishing with a friend of mine, Fred Arcuri. Pretty significant occurrence as we were coming downriver at the end of the fishing trip. Lost the paddle on the way, which we can't explain. That was what preceded the thing that wound up occurring. As we were coming down, I don't know, we're probably a couple hundred yards from where we have to get out of the water to put the canoe back on the truck. Freddie was standing up because he had to take my paddle. I sitting down enjoying the nice warm summer night. It was a balmy summer night. July in upstate New York is a beautiful time. All of a sudden, Freddie started, I don't know, we were about, like I said, 150, 200 yards away from our site, and Freddie was getting very excited. And he's asking me, "Louie, you see that? Louie, you see that?" And I'm wondering, you know, at first, what's he seeing that's getting him so excited? I could see a fog on the left side of me, and there was no fog anywhere around us. There's no fog behind me, no fog in front of me, no fog to the right of me, just to the left of me because that's the way I was facing. And Freddie's, "Do you see that?" And I'm getting a little nervous because I see the fog and I don't see anything else. He had a better vantage point because I had taller grass in front of me from sitting down low in the canoe, and he's in a standing position. We were in a big 17-foot Coleman canoe, and when we want to stretch, it's very easy to stand. All of a sudden, we start coming around, and as we're coming closer, I could see the fog plain as day now, more foliage. At this point, I don't know, again, what Freddie was seeing because of my vantage point. And as we start pulling up, I could see this tripod-like thing. It wasn't a tripod, no bars or anything, but it was kind of tripod shape, and it had amber lights. I don't remember if they were vertical, horizontal, I don't know which way they went, but I remember seeing amber lights on this thing. As we're approaching, coming around, from the top of this thing, a light wound up coming around and started shining on Freddie and then came around to me. Now the weird thing is, the light came around, but there's no light on him and there's no light on me, which was unexplainable. Now here's the damn, the canoe paddle's gone, and now I got a light shining on the both of us, and there's no light shining on him or me. How could something come around and there's no light on you? So now I was becoming nervous, and Freddie's like, "Louie, you see that? What is that?" And he starts yelling, "Hello, hello, hello." And he's trying to make contact with something that he had seen. And after that light got on, got on to both of us, I got pretty nervous, as I said, and we wound up coming down closer, and we start inching closer and closer to an old beaver dam. And at that point, I wind up seeing these two beings, and plain as day, they humanoid form, just like us. I'd say about 5'6", 5'6 and a half, no taller than that. They were human figures. And the figures that I wound up seeing, one was bent over and there was another one standing behind it. And I'm looking at these figures and I'm quite nervous. How could you not be? You know, they look like naked bodies, very, very white. I don't want to say translucent because I could make out appendages. I can make out arms. I can make out legs, a head. Don't recall any ears. The one in the back, I don't know if it was foliage or what, it did look like there was a little bit of hair. But the weird anomaly that I recall, most of all, was when this thing was behind the other one, I looked and there's no genitalia. And that kind of really freaked me out. You see two beings, they look human-like. There's no sleeves. It didn't look like there was any type of clothing on them at all. No pant leg, no cuffs. Yet I could plainly make out these two figures. Fred's sitting there, hello, hello. He's still trying to make contact with these individuals or whatever it was. And I kind of freaked out. You know, I'll be honest, I grabbed hold of the front of my canoe and I started jumping in the water, and I nearly knocked Freddie out of the canoe. And I proceeded to pull the canoe out of the water, off the dam actually, because we were stuck on the dam. But while we were on the dam, I could see everything plain as day. I could see the tripod-like a thing with the amber lights and these beings over here. I was pretty freaked out, I'm not going to lie about it. I had a daughter that was just born and I wanted to get out of there. So as we pulled out, you know, got out of the water, pulled the canoe out, wound up throwing the canoe on the truck, driving down the road. As we're driving down the road, I don't know, about a mile and a half, Freddie asked me to pull over. We pull over and he wanted to go back. And I didn't want to go back. You know, I wanted to alert the authorities because I believe something like this the authorities should know about, because it was an unexplained phenomenon that wound up occurring. And Freddie was a little insistent on going back, and I was a little more stubborn, and I was behind the wheel because it freaked me out quite a bit. You know, I'm not going to lie about it, you know, because I don't know what the hell I saw. That's all I know is it was something that I've never came in contact with before. Been all over the place. I was in the military. I traveled all over. I've never seen anything like it. And we wound up going home. And a few days later, which was a Saturday, we decided to go back. And when we wound up going back down to the site, we're walking up to the spot, and lo and behold, here's 30-40 foot round, I'd say, section of woods. Now it's July, you got foliage all over the place, and here's a spot that's just coffee ground dirt. It's the best way of explaining it. It was so fine, it was like coffee grounds. How they could have occurred in such a short period of time is beyond my imagination. I've tilled my garden, I've done a lot of different things, and I've even worked landscaping, and I've seen screeded soil, and I've never seen it that fine in my life. Here it is, fine like coffee grounds. Not a ant, not a footprint from a deer, nothing. And there's all these big mature trees, and everywhere else you look, there's nothing but foliage. And kind of found that to be pretty freaky a few days later. And I wish I took a camera, which I didn't. I mean, I'm called the cameraman. Anytime we go fishing, I always take a camera, and I didn't have a darn camera with me. I was pretty shook up from it, and excited to get back and look at it. And I guess with the excitement of what I might see, I just forgot to bring the damn thing, and I wish I did. And there was like 3 mounds in the dirt. They wound up coming across, which was pretty cool. But you go in the mounds, it's like maybe there's something buried here. And reached right down. Freddie was reaching right down in the soil. I'm reaching down in the soil, and there it is, coffee ground. You know, and just a strange anomaly that occurred in my life. And something that I'll never forget, and something that I just never wanted to tell too many people about, because I figured they'd think I was crazy. And it's something that we talked about from time to time. And it's something that does need to get out because it is a true story. And there are those things that happen in our lives that are worth mentioning it. And I wish I mentioned it years ago to the authorities so we could have actually known exactly what we saw. But we didn't. You know, maybe we should have gone back then like Freddie wanted, you know, and investigated it further. But I decided I didn't want to. And I was driving. If it was today, I would have definitely extended my hand, you know, and tried to make contact, better contact with these individuals. I do remember at one point them waving, just came to the side this wave and down, and I don't remember exactly when that wound up occurring, but I do remember the wave. And like I said, I don't want to say frightened. It was just a pretty weird thing that wound up occurring. I had a daughter that was just born, and I wanted to get home to her. But it, let's just say, spooked. It spooked me enough not to investigate it further that night. I wish I turned around, you know, and we didn't. And it's an actual event that did happen. I've got no reason to make this stuff up. I am glad that I was able to partake in seeing an anomaly such as this. And I think it was pretty fascinating thing and a blessing to see it.
Lou, I have one question for you about the beings that you saw. Do you recall anything about the facial features, eyes, nose, mouth, ears? I mean, anything that really stood out besides their skin and their height?
Their eyes. Their eyes were bigger than our eyes. If you were to take out the eyeball of a human being and look at a skeleton, the orbital, large the way it is, that's about what the size of the eye was. I'd say about like this. It was a size. They were larger than our eyes, and they were dark black. The eyes. I don't really recall ears or anything like that. There was no genitalia, none whatsoever. I'm looking at these things plain as day. They were, God Almighty, 30 yards at the most away from me. And I'm looking at these things plain as day. I hunt, I fish. There was no genitalia, and that's on. You can't explain that. And like I said, no clothing. If they were naked, and I don't know, maybe something was wrapped around them, and I don't know.
When you saw them, when you actually got the best look at them, were they parallel with you on the boat, behind you, or in front of you on the boat? What vantage point were they at in perspective? I was in the front, and they were literally, as we were coming by, directly right on the side of me. Literally, if I could have shaken hands with them. So the closest that you were to either of these entities was in feet. How at the closest vantage point? How close were you?
The closest point was probably when they waved. You know, I don't know, 20 feet, 30 feet at the most. At that point. And then when we wound up hitting the beaver dam and everything, when we came closer, here we're stuck on this beaver dam. And that's when I wound up seeing, they're plain as day, they're standing there. And like I said, one was bent over, the other was standing straight up behind it. You know, I mean, they were as apprehensive as we were, I would say. You know, but there was, I never felt threatened to the point where I felt like I was in danger. I think it was more spooked by the fact that I've never encountered anything like this before. You know, it was unexplainable. I never seen anything like it. How do you explain a human being without genitalia, be it a male or a female? I don't care if you having, You know, it just spooked, that's the part that spooked me out. I knew that it wasn't of human form at that point.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Louis.
Thank you.